Hello and welcome to episode 49 of Touchline Talk with Odds Changer and SBK. I'm delighted to be joined by my old sidekick who's back from his holiday, refreshed and ready to go, Dean Jones. Hi Dean, did you have a good break? You didn't miss much news when you were away, just one big one.
No, just a major takeover that I've been waiting about 2 years for. But that's good. I missed the the immediate reaction to it, so I let it settle down before I have to get stuck in. Yeah, very good, mate. Been in Southern California, so there's worse places to spend a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel like I might need a holiday pretty soon the way I'm feeling right now, but that's another story in that one. But yeah, only one place to start, Dean, and that is with the club that's making all the headlines right now, Newcastle, following the recent takeover by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. Exciting times for Newcastle fans who showed their joy last week with the scenes outside St James's Park. Newcastle are now back in the big time. Fans have got their wish. They've got rid of Mike Ashley. They're now one of the richest clubs, if not the richest club in the world, with their owners. It's a new era starting for Newcastle, and probably one of the first casualties is set to be Steve Bruce. Who are you hearing is in the running to take over from Bruce as manager?
Well, the tricky part of all of this, to be honest, as I've got stuck into it, is where you're getting your information from at the moment, because there are so many different aspects of this. There's the general voices coming out of Newcastle, which you would always have when you're searching for stories. Then there's the Reuben brothers. Then there's Amanda Staveley and the people attached to her. And then, of course, there's the Saudi element to it. So what we're going to learn quite quickly is who's making the big decisions, I guess, and who's got the loudest voice and the most important voice among all these people that are newly involved in the football club. So that's where we're at right now. And I think, listen, there are so many names I've heard. Lucien Favre, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Brendan Rodgers. They all came straight into the run-in. Most of them are names we've heard before linked to Newcastle. There will be more. I think, for right now, nothing significant is going to change. I think Graeme Jones would be the most obvious choice to step into this role. And when he does become caretaker after Steve Bruce, I don't even think it's going to be that he's just there for a couple of weeks. I was told, don't be surprised if Graeme Jones actually stays in the role a little while Newcastle make sure they make the right appointment and get a name that not only fits the profile of where they're heading, but can be trusted by the new owners to do things their way, and that they have a very good understanding of each other before things begin. They don't want to be seen as a club that keeps taking on managers as soon as things begin and have to start sacking people. So maybe Graeme Jones just becomes a safe pair of hands for a few months. Who knows? Maybe towards the end, even the whole season. I don't know yet. But yeah, I don't think we'll see anything too significant immediately, although they are, of course, looking at all the possibilities.
Yeah, it's going to be an attractive job for a lot of top managers out there now with the revenue involved. As you said, Graeme Jones is a very highly acclaimed coach. I know a lot of the players do enjoy working under him, as they did with England at the Euros as well. So he would be a safe pair of hands until Newcastle do find that right man. I've also heard that Harry Redknapp's been putting Frank Lampard's case pretty strongly with the Reuben brothers, who he knows quite well. So maybe that's where we're getting the Frank Lampard links right away. Do you think they should go foreign, or maybe look for somebody UK-based if they can find somebody, or it doesn't matter, just get the right man?
Yeah, I honestly don't think that matters. I think that what matters is finding a philosophy of football that you're going to follow. And that needs to be the case. And to decide what their style of football is going to be, how they're going to build this squad, and get someone that is fully on board with that. And listen, I'm sure Frank Lampard would be interested in this job. Like, not only is he going to be able to go and sign like some of the best talent in the world, but he's going to be very, very highly paid. Like, Newcastle are going to be throwing huge sums of money at this, and that includes the manager, coach. So yeah, it makes sense that Harry Redknapp would be taking that. But it goes back to what I was saying there. It depends who you're speaking to on what kind of version of events you're going to get right now. And you're saying that's coming from the Reuben brothers, then that makes sense. But you speak to the Saudis, they'll say somebody else. You speak to Amanda Staveley, she might say somebody else. So let's just be a little careful here. Tread carefully as we listen to all these rumours for the next few weeks.
Yeah, they're going to be dominating the headlines and the transfer rumours for quite a long time now, it seems, Newcastle. Obviously, with the new investment from the new owners means, as we said, lots of speculation on who Newcastle might sign when the transfer window reopens in January. James Tarkowski of Burnley's been strongly linked. I know it's a position Newcastle are looking to strengthen the squad in. From what I'm hearing, a centre-back and a centre midfielder are the two top targets in January. Obviously, we know January window is not the easiest window to do business in. And now Newcastle find themselves in a whole new sort of area now where they find themselves. Clubs are going to be putting price tags up on players now when Newcastle comes to the table knowing how much money they've got. So it's not going to be an easy window for them to do business. What are you hearing are the top targets for Newcastle in January?
Yeah, Tarkowski definitely is one. It's kind of in line with the vision that I've heard, that they want an English spine to the team. They would like to have a core of the side going forward that has, if possible, has been part of the Euros, to be honest with you, and is part of this successful team that's been emerging under Gareth Southgate. So although Tarkowski might not be a major part of that, he is seen as somebody that can certainly help the club slowly start to turn the corner. And I think that's what January will be seen as. January isn't going to be seen as the kind of major facelift. It's the first step. And that's making sure that Newcastle stay in the Premier League, and also that you're signing players that can stay in and around the squad, even if they're not the major stars for the next 2 or 3 years. And Tarkowski definitely fits with that. I think that the type of players that they're going to have to sign, because like you say, they're going to be asked to pay a premium now. They have to look at fringe players and, players that are just looking for an opportunity. So whether that's Anthony Martial, Jesse Lingard, Luka Jovic, I've heard Alfredo Morelos of Rangers as well as somebody that's on their radar. These kind of players are the ones that you'll probably see as more likely candidates to come in January than Haaland and Mbappe. Like, that's not happening in January.
Don't disappoint the Newcastle fans.
Sorry, I apologise.
Shattering their dreams there with no big name signings. But yeah, that will probably come in the future if Newcastle do get this right. It's not going to be a quick fix by any stretch, I don't think. It's going to take time for the new owners to bed into English football and for them to get their ideas across as well. What about one name? Aaron Ramsey's a name that keeps cropping up. Obviously, he's not in favour at Juventus right now. They would happily sell. Could a return to the Premier League be on the cards for Ramsey?
It could be. I mean, I checked this out over the summer because Ramsey just doesn't seem to have fitted in Turin, but he's been very, very dedicated, I guess, to trying to make that move work. He doesn't want that to be seen as a failure, and he wanted to give it another season. So we'll have to see how he feels about that in January, I guess. There's no doubt he'll have offers across the Premier League to come back. There's no doubt he could still do it, but it's whether he's willing to give up on his dream, really, of making it as a success abroad, particularly in Serie A. So, of course, that's the type of player that Newcastle should be looking at. It's about stepping up the profile of player, but also the quality of the team, and Ramsey would undoubtedly do that.
Yeah, quality player, as he's proved over the years for Arsenal Wales, and as you said, been a bit unfortunate during his time at Juventus due to injuries, but still a quality player who would be a great addition to that Newcastle side if something was to happen for him. One player you did mention there who was being linked with Man United, or with Newcastle, is Manchester United midfielder Jesse Lingard, whose future at Old Trafford still very much up in the air. He's out of contract in the summer and yet to sign a new deal that's been on the table at United. Where does the future lie for Jesse Lingard? Latest reports suggesting that he's got interest from AC Milan and Barcelona. Possibly, if that was the case, he could sign a pre-contract in January with those foreign clubs and leave on a free transfer. Big decision coming up for Jesse Lingard over these next couple of months.
Yeah, look, I was surprised personally that he stayed at United. I could never see a path into that team, and even when he's done reasonably well and been given chances, that doesn't seem to be followed up. I don't know that he's going to get a run in this United team as it moves forward. And I think, the fact he's not signing a contract is just evidence that he's going to keep his options open. And I was always really told around Jesse that he was open to the idea of playing abroad. So, AC Milan and Barcelona wouldn't be bad places to go and do that. I guess that the one question would be, like, how are you going to fit in there? How will you settle? Is this a guarantee of regular first-team football, successful first-team football? What's your aim here? What's your objective? Because if he just wants to, remain in the eyes of Gareth Southgate, I guess, and in that England frame, then maybe West Ham's a better option because he's already seen what he can do there. Yeah. He knows the team will almost be built around him. He knows that the style of football that's there, and he'll feel confident from game one going back there. Whereas if you go to a different country and it takes time to find your feet, say like how Jadon Sancho's coming to the Man United team and been on the fringes immediately, that could happen to him going the other way. So he's got to be very, very careful. And I think for him, it should be about trying to get to the level that we all know he's capable of. He's said himself how devastated he was to miss out on the Euros, and he needs to try and make sure that that's not the case again when the World Cup comes around.
Yeah, he showed the levels that he can get to during that loan spell at West Ham when he was in brilliant form for the Hammers. Was inspirational in helping them qualify for Europe as well. But United, if he's not going to sign this new deal, Dean, they're going to have to try and sell him in January rather than risk allowing him to leave on a free in the summer. So probably you were talking 30, 40 million for him in the summer. If he was to leave, you're probably thinking 15 to 20 million would be a good deal right now if they were to sell him in January.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham would jump all over that, I think. They were still keen right up to deadline day to get a deal done if it was achievable. And, you know, if you think back to when Jesse first made that move to West Ham and there was the option of potentially that being a permanent deal. And the figure then that most people were thinking was about 15 to 20 million. And United didn't really see it that way. They felt that if that loan deal went well, then it would add a premium to his value. And that's exactly what happened. So I think that's dropped again now. And I think that realistically, he's no more than a £20 million player, is he?
Yeah, not with so little left on his contract as well. I don't think clubs would be willing to spend that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few months ahead for Jesse Lingard, whether he signs his new contract at Man United or decides to move on in the January transfer window. I'm sure he will not be short of offers with clubs, not just in the Premier League, but also abroad as well. We talked about him briefly earlier. Brendan Rodgers was mentioned in the running for the Newcastle manager's job, Dean, but it's supposedly reports suggesting he's not interested in that role because he's got his eyes possibly on the Manchester City job when Pep Guardiola decides to call it a day at the Etihad. It's a fascinating report, this, suggesting that Rodgers sees himself as being in with a big chance of getting this City job when Pep does decide to quit. We all know Pep, just 18 months left on his current deal. He has talked in the past about maybe leaving when his contract expires and having a bit of a break. Do you see there's something really in this that Brendan Rodgers would have admirers within the City camp?
I think it's beyond doubt, really, that he's got admirers within Manchester City. You go back to last season when Guardiola was waiting on a new contract there. We were waiting to see whether he would sign an extension to his Man City stay. And because of that, it was obvious we were all trying to get a feel of who might come in if Pep left. And Brendan Rodgers undoubtedly has support within that club and is seen as somebody who can come in, continue what Pep's done, but also make changes that could continue to evolve this team and make sure that they remain at the top of European football. And yeah, I think he'll know that, obviously. Like if I've heard that, then I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers and his agents have heard that. So it's pretty obvious that he would kind of keep his mind open for now. He's very, very happy in the job that he's got at Leicester and how much control he has of things at Leicester. He also has quite a big ego, Brendan Rodgers, and I think that he'll want one of the biggest jobs in football. Some people could now argue that Newcastle is one of the biggest jobs in football, and I guess, it will become that. But at the moment, they're a team fighting relegation, and that's a pretty big change from where Brendan Rodgers has been for the last couple of years. So, I think it's realistic that he'll be in the frame to replace Pep Guardiola. But of course, we don't know exactly when that's going to be. We know that it's going to be probably within the next couple of years. And that's a long time in football. A lot can change both at Leicester and Man City. So it's a case of, if you do pass up this Newcastle opportunity, that Man City job might not still be there when you think it's going to be, or you might lose your way and end up parting company with Leicester sooner than you think. So there's always a lot of ifs and buts involved.
Yeah, lots of twists and turns in the managerial hunts, as we all know. You can go from hero to zero so quickly as a manager. As you said, I think even Leicester have found it tough going this season. So Rodgers probably not had the best of starts after winning the FA Cup last season with Leicester as well. But talking of Pep and City, it is the day that City fans do fear when Pep does decide to call it quits at the club. Big boots to fill, though. If it's not just Brendan Rodgers, they're going to have to be looking at top managers across Europe to replace Pep.
Yeah, I mean, they will literally reach out to anybody who's done anything in the game that's of major significance. And they have to tread carefully, though, because when you see teams like, I don't know, I guess Barcelona a good example recently of trying to find a manager that fits in with the identity after such a successful era. They find it difficult. Man United found it so difficult after Ferguson, and Man City are going to find themselves in a very similar situation to those top teams. And you see, you know, it's become, I guess, in the last 5 years, almost a trend to employ a club legend, to placate fans, to just try and keep some heritage and tradition involved with the process. And it doesn't really work that well, I don't think. And I don't think that Man City will be looking down that route. I think they will be very astute and careful in the next appointment after Pep. And it will be the man that is best equipped to keep this team winning the Premier League, competing to win the Champions League, and satisfying a squad that is made up of superstars.
Yep.
So if it's not Brendan Rodgers, then it's probably a list of 4 or 5 other names in the world, really, that are managing at that top level.
Yeah, so for somebody to take over City, you're going to have to be a top manager, because as a club, they expect you up there challenging for the biggest honours around. But yeah, thankfully for us neutrals, no rush on that. Pep Guardiola will be staying around for a while longer so we can enjoy his team and his style of football, what they bring to the Premier League. Talking of a manager who's finding himself under pressure right now, takes us nicely on to Southampton's Ralph Hasenhüttl, who slow start to the season for the Saints, yet to win in the Premier League this season. A few rumours going around now that Southampton might be looking at managerial candidates. Eddie Howe's name keeps cropping up as being interested in this role if it becomes vacant. Dean, what's your latest take on Hasenhüttl's future at Southampton?
I would be very, very surprised if they were to part ways with him at this stage. I think the only way I really see him leaving is if they are in extreme danger of relegation. And at the moment, it was so early on in the season, I don't think you can put them in that frame. He's changed so much around the club that to get rid of him isn't just, okay, somebody comes in to manage the first team. His philosophy, the pressing style of football, is now ingrained within Southampton. So yes, it's in all the first team squad and all the developing players around that, but also they've got it like kids as young as 9, 10 being taught to play this style of football now, being brought up to play within a system. And to remove Hasenhüttl would mean you were going to probably change all that as well. And that's pretty big. So I don't think that they would do this overnight. I think that things would have to get pretty bad. I don't think it will take too much for Hasenhüttl to turn it around. For example, a win at the weekend wouldn't completely surprise me, and they build on that.
Yeah, as you said, they've stuck with Hasenhüttl before after a few really bad results. Those 9-0s, the 9-0 to Man United, the 9-0 to Leicester. They stuck faith with Hasenhüttl, and he repaid them by having good finishes with Southampton in the table as well. And as you said, Dean, looking at their fixtures over the next few weeks, some winnable games for them there in October, and the league position could look a lot different. Leeds this weekend at home, Burnley at home, Watford away. Could all be 3 wins for Southampton there, and things start to look a lot rosier.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I think, you know, you've also got to consider that they've had some injury problems, and they've been waiting to get their best side out there. I think Adam Armstrong would make a big difference to them. So, yeah, there are little things that once they fall into place, I think will make a big difference to Southampton. And personally, I feel like they're too strong to really be considered as one of the teams that are going to go down. And I think that they can turn this around. So, yeah, for now, I'm backing Hasenhüttl to stay in that job.
Yeah, we don't expect any knee-jerk reactions from the Southampton board on Hasenhüttl's future. They've stuck by him before, and they see him as a long-term vision for the club. Right, that's us here for another week on Touchline Talk. We'll be back next week for more news and speculation, probably more about Newcastle as well, because they are going to be the main talking point for every show going forward after that takeover. But yeah, we'll be back next week, and we'll see you then. Get £20 in risk-free bets this season when you join SBK. That's money back in cash on the first £20 of losses. Definitely worth a go.